President Bill Clinton, is he one of the country's greatest leaders in history or one of the nation's biggest embarrassments? Is he a decent man with flaws or a flawless man with no decency? A consummate public servant or the consummate narcissist? These are just a few of the questions posed in a new book, and we're going to get the answers from its author right now on It's Your Call. There is no doubt about it. Everyone has an opinion about former President Bill Clinton. The thing is, some people see him as a saint and others see him as a definite sinner. Some say he's going to go down in history as one of the best presidents ever, and others think his scandals will forever taint American history. That's what makes him a complicated man, which is the fitting title of a new oral history on William Jefferson Clinton. It's called A Complicated Man, the life of Bill Clinton as told by those who know him. Its author, Michael Takiff, joins us right now on It's Your Call. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us as well. So where do you stand on President Clinton? What's your opinion of the 42nd President of the United States? If you want to start emailing me now with your opinion, we're going to share some of your thoughts later in the show. First, though, let's meet the man who completed some 171 interviews before he put this book together. Michael, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, there must be at least 100 books out there on Bill Clinton. Why did we need 101?
Well, this book is different. It really is. It's a compilation of interviews of people talking about Bill Clinton. That they tell the story of Bill Clinton's life from birth to the present day. Everyone from the cousin who took him to the Saturday afternoon westerns in Hope, Arkansas when he was 6 years old, right through to members of Congress, the cabinet, famous members of the press, some of his best friends, also some of his worst enemies.
Okay, we have to ask whether or not you had his permission to pursue these interviews or whether people are just a little bit more willing to talk about Bill Clinton at this point in history.
I actually did have a kind of permission, a grudging permission. When friends of Bill are approached with interview requests, the first thing they do is they call his office and say, can we talk to this guy? I was brought into his office. I met with his press spokesman. He looked me over. He took my temperature. He poked, he prodded, and then he decided it was okay to tell people, yes, you can talk to this guy.
So why did you decide to write it now? After all, he's been out of office for a decade now. I mean, are people really that intrigued or interested in him even today, 2011?
Absolutely. There was a poll recently in the Wall Street Journal. It pronounced Bill Clinton, quote, the most popular politician in America, which is amazing. Consider how many times he's been counted out, time after time. I'll just give you a couple. In 1994, after the midterms, nobody thought he'd win a second term. In 1998, nobody thought he'd last a week once the name of Monica Lewinsky surfaced. And even more recently, in 2008, when he demeaned himself, demeaned the presidency, embarrassed himself, and did his wife no favors during her campaign for the White House. And now he's the most popular politician in America.
When you say that he's the most popular politician in America, on what is that based? The fact that he has name recognition, that people would like to see him in office, that they just generally like the man? I mean, what makes him popular?
Well, I think let's separate it. One is the state of the country when he left. Really, the 90s were the last time the country could be said to have worked. Unemployment was low. The stock market was sky high. The name Osama bin Laden was unknown to the general public. The country was at peace. It was a golden age compared to the years that have come since, filled with war, frustration, fear, hard times. There's that. And then there's Bill Clinton himself. I think the thing about Bill Clinton and what makes him so fascinating is that he's just so human. I think he's more human than just about anyone we know. His flaws and his virtues are all exaggerated and so public. We see ourselves in him.
How about that? A flawed man and yet one that people can relate to.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. We all know people like that.
Now, you know that historians tend to look back on presidents long after they've been out of office and sometimes look more favorably. Mm-hmm. If a historian was looking at him today, what would the legacy of President Bill Clinton be?
It's an incomplete legacy. It's a disappointing legacy. It's funny, I think. It's odd to speak of a man like Bill Clinton, a man who was president of the United States for 8 years, governor of a state for 12 years, to speak of that man as an underachiever. But with Bill Clinton, there's something missing. He was so gifted, so talented, such a brilliant man, a phenomenal intellect, and so gifted at relating to people, whether ordinary people or heads of state. You want something more than someone who is basically a competent steward of the nation's business during a time of peace.
Is it incomplete because of the scandals that tainted his presidency?
That's a big part of it. He had big plans for the second term. His goal, his big project, was going to be reform of Social Security. They were conducting meetings. They were conducting studies. As one man says in the book, a former congressman, the Lewinsky scandal blew that out of the water. Once Lewinsky surfaced, that was it for domestic policy. He did a lot in foreign policy.
Now, a lot of presidents come to mind, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, as having created a legacy for themselves long after their stint in the White House was completed. Do you think that he's on the road to doing that, to completing the legacy, so that historians may reflect on him much more favorably, let's say 20 years from now, as opposed to today?
Absolutely. His post-presidency is remarkably successful. There's a great interview in the book with a man named Jim Young Kim. He's president of Dartmouth College right now. He's a public health doctor. His specialty was providing treatment to people in poor countries, Haiti, poor countries in Africa. He credits Bill Clinton more than anyone else in the world with bringing down the cost of these AIDS miracle drugs, these antiretrovirals that allow people in the third world, people in developing countries like Lesotho and remote hilltop villages, people to get these drugs and to live with HIV/AIDS. That's really Bill Clinton's greatest legacy.
See, it's interesting because probably the average American would not associate that with him at this point in time, but over history they may. We're going to give you an opportunity to be involved here in our discussion. In your mind, how will Bill Clinton be remembered? Do you think that he'll be remembered as a great president or as a great disappointment? And what is his legacy when it comes to your opinion? What do you think his legacy will be? Is it a lifetime of public service, or do you just recall all the public scandals? If you want to tell us what you think, you can email me directly at lynn@lynndoyle.net. As always, you can find us on Facebook. We are on Twitter, and also this show and others will be on YouTube as well. We're going to share some of the comments that we got through Facebook and for some of the new emails that come in just a minute, and I'll get your opinion on that. But continuing on the discussion about his legacy, it's interesting. I got the impression from reading the book that you really feel that the presidency was almost like a stepping stone to what else he might be able to accomplish in his lifetime.
I'm wondering, what else is there for Bill Clinton? Maybe there's that one problem no one else can solve out there for Bill Clinton. Will it be nuclear arms? Will it be the environment? What is it that will finally allow Bill Clinton to fulfill his potential? I'm hoping there's something out there. You
don't have any insight from the interviews that you've done?
Well, the Clinton Global Initiative is working on many things. The HIV/AIDS initiative is very important, but also they have an initiative on climate change. So maybe he'll be able to have a great effect on the world through that.
Okay, so you said that you conducted more than 170 interviews from people that knew him when he was just wee Willie, just a little boy, to some of his greatest enemies, which I found to be an interesting contrast. Was there a general consensus about the boy, the young man, and now the elder statesman, or was it a complete mishmash of opinions from the different people that you interviewed?
The fascinating thing about Bill Clinton, and I think what I really learned from doing this book, and I think what makes him a fascinating subject for a biography, is that there are so many different ways of looking at him, so many facets, and so many that ring true. Think about it. Principled battler for the common good, shameless opportunist, Liberal, conservative, centrist, check, check, check. One of the smartest people on the planet, without a doubt. An unbelievable dope. And how?
Okay, I want you to explain that. Not that it really needs a lot of explaining if you lived through the 90s at all, but we're going to talk more about that. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have your comments on Bill Clinton, who, without a doubt, is definitely a complicated man. If you agree, email us during the break. We'll be right back.